We're live. We're live. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good Friday. Happy Friday. Tea time Ascension talk. It's hot, Michael. Okay, let's adjust this. Let's adjust ourselves. Welcome. Hi, Demetrius. Welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
Demetrius. Hello.
Hello.
Dear
Hello.
sacred brother.
Welcome. Let's see who's on. Hello, Valerie.
Hi, Valerie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's see who is. Natalia, good morning.
Natalia.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Venus Friday, everyone. Oh my goodness. I know the last few weeks we had I did the Ascension Friday Tea Time Ascension talk 2 weeks ago. Michael just couldn't.
I was working with my dad's ashes that week and had the opportunity
With my name, Blenda.
Beautiful energies on that Friday, so I wasn't here. Good morning, Belinda.
Everybody that's queuing, just say good morning. And let's see, we start with tea. Michael, this is a new tea. This is what we have is a, see how it is.
Bitter.
I know. So it's a white, it's an organic apricot, orange blossom. I didn't put any kind of honey or anything in it today. Yeah. Okay. We'll have it anyway. Tell us what tea you're drinking. Queuing in, saying hi. We're absolutely exhausted and things are all over the place as we got in really late last night, about 12:30, driving back 8 hours. So we'll share everything. So let's see what tea you're drinking. Let's see.
Valerie's drinking a nice blueberry with aloe tea. Beautiful.
Nice.
Ginger and lemon.
That's always a good one. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, I like having new blends, and we've had quite a bit of honey and agave and sweets this past week, so I decided not to have any. And I want to thank Michael for coming on. Hi, Sunshine Love. Michael is exhausted, especially because he just carried a large crystal. We finally got this crystal tower back from North Carolina. Let me just show you the picture real quick. He's absolutely exhausted.
Part of it
with
was
my son.
We decided to drive versus take the flight. So instead of taking an hour flight, we drove 8 hours back. So I had the last 4 hours, and nothing like to drive back, at night on 81 with all the trucks at midnight where they decide to do all the construction. So Waze always points us into the right direction, and come the midnight hour, it's always that last hour that you really just have to push on through. But we got back safe and sound, so if my eyes are half lit, my spirit is a little tired. That's the reason why, because we had a beautiful, beautiful week. But as you know, with a beautiful week of vacation, sometimes you just need a vacation after all the fun transmissions and activities that we did, which was absolutely fantastic.
So let me just show you. This is just a little bit ago, 30 minutes ago. This is Michael and my son Keon. This is the crystal. They're trying to get it out of the car and bring it up. They're out of exhaustion. Like, try to bring it up, finally placing it, and there it is. This has been one of these towers that I've been wanting forever, and it's absolutely glorious. And my son helped this one with Michael, which is quite heavy. What would you say was like easily 200 pounds?
200 pounds at least. But the hard thing is when you're carrying a 200-pound crystal wrapped in plastic, with the humidity, and you're trying to get up a pair of narrow stairs with us moving and me having probably zero strength because I'm half awake and half here. But we got, 200 at least. Demetrius, where were you? We could have used your strength.
And I tell you, here, these are the other two. We haven't opened it yet. Those should be pretty heavy. Those, my son carried those upstairs with this suitcase. Those are about 80, 90 pounds each. And so this is a crystal place in North Carolina. This is the 6th visit that we went down. Each time I said, I'm feeling so called to bring a large tower back for our healing space. for this Archangel Michael energy, and I really feel called to it. And usually whenever there's a crystal that, we sort of organize, like if in case I found the one that feels called, that wants to come with us, that will shift everything, will change the, we were supposed to fly back with Michael's mom and my sons, and we rented another car. That's a whole nother scenario, and then pick this up and drive like 8 hours. So 4 hours me driving, 4 hours Michael driving, getting back, and we were determined. And that's what I really appreciate and enjoy, when we feel called to something. This was my felt call. I wanted it. I was like, we are going to make this happen only if we find the one. So it was definitely worth it. And one of these pieces is going to be for sale. I'll put it up, because both of them are not supposed to be around, but it's just an incredible grade, beautiful crystals. And I was like, this is amazing. Somebody has to be blessed by this. Whoever feels called to it, will put it up. And
they're beautiful amethysts, and as we know, amethyst has such an amazing energy with it, and it's really wild to see the different degrees, different grades of amethyst, and the beauty of what it is. And each time we go down there, we always want to have a truck so we can load as many up, because we know these crystals are beings. They are energy that when we see them, it adds so much life. And when people walk into our beautiful sanctuary, there's crystals everywhere. So
you can see those are like the citrine towers we have. These are just, but the part of it is because we work so much with crystals, we work with the energy field, we do so much events here in this space. So the crystal beings really work with us. We work with them, and usually in our events we give crystals to people so that they can go give it back to earth. There's a lot around that, so we feel the energies have to constantly be moved and shifted around and what have you. And my son came this morning, and Michael has been exhausted. I said, I can do this myself, but from this then we have to go return the car. And I want to speak to returning the car for a second. So it was so interesting. We were in a very sort of like mountain place in Lake Lure, and reception was very poor. Managed to reserve 2 cars to come back, and this wonderful SUV we had, it was rented by Hertz, but no matter how many times I called to try to extend the reservation, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. So finally I said, no problem. We get there, we figure it out. And I had told Michael, I was like, Michael, let's not push ourselves. Let's not drive all the way back. Maybe we spend the night somewhere middle of the night. We don't need to go. It's been one amazing week.
If we would have spent the night, we would not have had this show.
We would not have it. No, for sure not.
I know you want to not push it, but
exactly.
There's no way that we're not going to go, because when we're driving up a highway with many, many trucks and many different levels, it's full blast. When we put our souls together, there's nothing but full adrenaline, even if one eye is open, and you just do what you got to do. And that's the beauty of when we have things that we need to get accomplished, whether it's planetary healing, destinations, or just teamwork. We tag team in a very good way of how long energy she goes until she passes out, how far I can go.
Hold on, but before that, I want to talk about the power. I really want to speak to the power of the heart, the power of desire. The desire of the heart, not desire of the ego. So I kept telling Michael, I said, Michael, when we go to the counter, I'll talk to the Hertz representative. Maybe they'll just allow us to keep the car. And the other car was a sedan. Michael was like, the sedan would be okay. It will be okay. I was like, no, I really want to stick with this car we have. It's a great SUV. We're putting these pieces in there. I rather have it this way. So anyway, when we got to the counter, it was so interesting. I'm sharing this because this plays out pretty much in my life. When your heart knows something, your heart wants something, do not back up. Stick with it. And don't give it up at all. Don't sacrifice, don't compromise, nothing. Stick to it. So when we get to the counter, this man, I said, listen, I called, I couldn't get a response. I want to be able to stick and have this car. He's like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't do that. I said, why? It's Hertz. I'm a gold member, IHG member, whatever. He said, no, we can't do that. I was like, okay, fine. We made reservations with the other company, Alamo. I go return this, come back. So it's just a lot of hassle. And meanwhile, we wanted to just take advantage of the time we had to go to the place where we bought the crystals, to load them up, then go. So before getting caught in all the traffic, this is about 3:30 p.m. And we dropped my sons and Michael's mom early. God bless Michael's mom for taking my sons together. Anyway, so point being, when I went to return the car, there was this lady where you card a return and you give the key. I said, it's so interesting. I wish I could have just kept the car and drove it for one more day so I can just return it. She's like, of course you can. I said, well, the other guy said I can. She said, no, I'll do it for you. I said, really? And I said, I've made reservations for the other one. She's like, how much did you pay? I was like, well, here's this price and so. And she's like, no, I'll match it for you. Not only was that match, even better, we were supposed to return the car to Washington, D.C. at the airport. We're going to end up returning it very close to us, about right like a town over where we are. So it was amazing how universe just provided, instead of us having to wait another hour and a half to pick up the other car rental, everything was done like this. Michael included as the driver. We were able to get on the road. Michael slept for beginning part of it, and I got on this one road. I was going 100 miles per hour, so fast because there's like nobody there. And anyway, it was incredible because the flow was there. And my heart really wanted this Shivi. My heart wanted to return it here, not drive all the way, to be able to still do this, to make all of it happen. And that is the beauty within this window period that we are. We're going into the Lions StarGate next week, Thursday. We have already entered it. We've already entered the codex of these codes of light, the crystalline fields, the diamond frequency, the platinum rays, the 22 energies are here, the eclipse of that, the solar eclipse, all of that is already here. So the thing is to continue to just celebrate what is in the heart and not back it up in any way, and not sacrifice and not compromise, because universe is here to flow.
Yeah.
Which I want you to talk about what happened the night before as we lost power, because how that was also orchestrated. We had everything provided for us.
On our last
Even
night,
with that.
it's amazing. We were so honored to go down to North Carolina, as some of you know, to celebrate my father's year anniversary and spreading a small part of his ashes on the very sacred mountain, as well as really bring forth our first family vacation with Honey's children, me, Honey, my mother. And on the last night, we
were in Lake Lore in Chimney Rock.
We were in Chimney Rock, Lake Lore in Western North Carolina, where, for those that are not aware, Western North Carolina has more vortexes in that area than the entire East Coast.
24 to be exact.
I'm glad, Valerie, you mentioned the Atlantean energy and the crystals, because there are quite a bit of just sacred parts that you feel that energy, because you're in the mountains, you're in the forest. And we had this beautiful A-frame wooden house that overlooked Lake Lore. We had a direct view to Chimney Rock. And the last night, we usually just take all of our food and we just make a collage of just amazing food, of amazing dinner. And so we're sitting there and we come back, we're a bit tired, we go to this.
But wait. The last night, so we had bought groceries to get everything. This was the very last night, I had said, okay, we're going to make all the veggies. It will be a royal veggie dinner. We have like a fabulous meal together.
So we come back from a very powerful, sacred spot called the Light Center, in which I've been there, 30 some years ago, where my mother and I, Honey, and our children have felt this powerful experience coming up, which we'll speak in detail later. We come back and we all just collapse. We just kind of come back to the house, and then this torrential storm comes where it's hailing, it's raining, the winds are blowing, and we're on a mountain on the side where the house is built on the side of the mountain, so it's stilted up, and we're looking outside, the trees are blowing. My mom's like, do you think we should go downstairs if there's a tornado? I'm like, no, there's going to be no tornado, we're fine. And the beautiful thing, it's an A-frame, so there's windows everywhere. For me, I get a little excited about this, because when things like this happen, we know that there's a larger purpose behind it. So now the hailstone's coming down. They're probably about this big, and they're hitting the glass. They come down, and Honey and I are looking at each other.
Less than half an inch.
Less than half an inch. So it's coming down, and everyone's like, we're just kind of looking at each other, and I'm growing more excited. We're looking outside, and the wind, the rain, and what was amazing is the temperature drastically changed from like 90 degrees all the way down to like 50 or 60. And so we're sitting there watching, and then all of a sudden, the power goes out. The power goes out, and we're watching.
Because right before that, I was like, gosh, like, because as soon as we come, my kids would get on their phones, like, nonstop, because we wanted them to help out a little bit. Like, God, like, I wish we could have one day without these. And boom.
And we just had a conversation
power goes
before with the boys, which are part of the millennium age. They're attached to their phones, they're attached to their electronics, and no judgment. Everyone is exactly where they're at. But I had a conversation, like, what would happen if the power goes out? What would you do? Do you read a book? No, I don't read a book. What would you do before going to bed? So we had a small conversation of what would happen if, let's just say, satellites went out for a week. What would happen if we just go back to our old days of we don't have electronics, we don't have stimulation, so that all the power goes out? And Honey's like, well, it doesn't matter. We have vegetables. So all of a sudden, I said, well, at least we have the grill. There's a gas grill outside. We have fire. No matter what's going on, at least we have that. We can utilize that to cook our food. So,
and we had just enough, the 2 candles for our prayer candles were there. It was so interesting because we packed up a little bit for the day after we were leaving, but everything just aligned with the little bit of this candle we had. And as the storm passed, some of this most glorious sunset came and a rainbow above us.
To the west. I mean,
all the pictures are on the fan page.
And I'll be posting later, as I usually catch up a little later with some more wisdom. There was this, to the west was this golden sunset right above the mountain. To the opposite, to the east, there was a rainbow that came directly over the side of the house and was going down to the water. And to the middle, it had like this sky blue, navy blue toward the mountains. So it was powerful to just see as the water, the transformation, all the energies washed away on our very last night.
This was the right after the storm, this glorious
this golden
sunset
nature opened up.
And then the other side of it, you can't see the rainbow.
But it was powerful.
And that's the house you can see.
It was
with
powerful
the
to go back to the message that we're saying is we didn't freak out. We didn't drop into fear.
Oh, wait. Michael, hold on. These are the hails coming. And we lost the power too.
And so the point was in these times, which we feel there's going to be even bigger shifts, big things, is in that moment where there is just absolute pandemonium chaos, which this was on a small scale, how we sat in our hearts, how we just went with the flow, and we remained calm, remained peaceful. And actually we became a little more excited in our creativity because, how often do you have a candlelit dinner? How often do you okay, we have an hour left of light. You chop the vegetables, I'll get the grill. What can we do? So we teamed up, we did what we could do to really create one of the best spreads possible. And then,
and then we did, and the boys got the board games that they played the Connect Four, and
then I was lighting the grill. So of course the wind's blowing as soon as the going. So I'm getting to my last match, I'm throwing it in, last match throwing in, last match throwing, nothing's catching it. Finally, that one last match, I catch it, chuck the grill because the wind's still blustering around. And I feel it's a testimony that when we are in the midst of just great transformation, when we're in the midst of great change, we really had to just surrender. And in that surrender, it gave us the opportunity just to trust, go with the flow, and really move into our hearts of being like, wow, how can we really bring this into some of the most fun possible? Because how incredible was it to sit at the table? We had one of our most powerful talks of summarizing what happened. And we knew that
on our last night, going over what did we learn about each other, what did we appreciate, what would we do differently, what were some of the allos. Just like every night, we've had a lot of discussions, and the other part of it was just sitting together, appreciating this. While we're in darkness, the candlelight is on. We have a full feast of meal. And I really mentioned that. I said, look at that. There's absolute chaos with this storm, with the hail, all of that. Power is that. But we have exactly what we need. Universe provided us exactly what we need. And we leave tomorrow. We have just enough for breakfast too. Even the whole power goes out. And the point of all of that is, when you are really, I feel like when you're doing your prayers, you're in this place, you're inviting the whole team, you're in that crystalline field, you're bringing that Christed frequency into you, your whole team. Everything is also provided, not anything more or less, just exactly what you need. And anything can happen, but you're totally taken care of. And that for me was the most gratitude, excitement. And for the kids of all the time, go to bed so early because they knew they couldn't be on the company. They needed the charger. But how beautiful it is, again, not to compromise, not to sacrifice, but to really stay in the place of your inner truth and know your inner truth is what's going to guide you. It's going to direct you, and it's going to provide you with everything you need.
And to trust that things are happening exactly as
they are.
Bring it forth, because what was really interesting to note is on our first night where we saw the pictures, we were so honored to stay at the Horseshoe Farm Ranch right outside Asheville, Hendersonville. The very last night we came back, we had a meal and we saw the most fantastic sunset. Rays were coming out of the mountain where we just placed the ashes of my father. There was an extraordinary level of just what I find is a message of gratitude, a message from the universe where we can just stop, witness the nature, take everything that is in front of us and just witness the beauty and divine of what is being placed. Because in each step, as we're honoring our love for our family, as we're honoring the love for our gatherings, we really put a lot of energy into the beauty, into the elegance, into the excellence what's being placed forward, because we take that time not just to break bread, but we take that time to check in with each other. We take this time to honor each other, to respect, to really listen to all the generations that are on the table, from the teenagers to ours, to my mom, the elder, and just bring in that love of here we are, to the point that it was like, what wonderful to hear my mom be like, wow, this is what it's like to not eat alone since she's been without my father for a year. So to just be in that gratitude, be in that compassion, and really witness what the universe gives us, because wherever we are, there are beautiful metaphors that come forth. And if we just stand back, surrender, trust, and go with the flow, then it turns into a situation where you can't even describe it. You're just like in this awe of being like, wow, how honored are we? How fortunate are we to have this? And the funniest thing is, the electricity didn't even come back till like 2 or 3 in the morning. So it actually gave us all the opportunity to say, let's let go of everything. Let's go to bed early and let's just witness the silence, because it was so quiet.
So quiet.
And when there's that inner silence within, it just gave this peace and relaxation that I feel sometimes we can just tap into that stillness, because there's so much noise, there's so much stimulation. We know there's a lot happening. And I feel with this gateway coming up, to really take that time to be still, to go within, to check what is moving through, because a lot of times when we're moving so fast and we're being pulled in so many directions, that's when we're really hit with, some of the highest vibrations, because we're not actually being an observation or witness of what is moving through. When we step back, place ourselves into nature, give ourselves the opportunity to really feel, then I find the magic then goes to a whole new level. It was really powerful, very beautiful.
And I felt like this, I feel most of it that know me, I'm really big on grounded energy, being super galactic. I feel it's very important to communicate with higher dimensional beings, higher dimensional, the team above, very, very important. But I'm not about, okay, well, this is just my entire reality, because I feel like right here, right now, how am I being of service? How am I living from there? And really ground the energy. So I do very well with people who are grounded. I just don't do well with those who are just scattered all over the place and they haven't learned yet how to ground their energy. That energy really actually turns me off quite a bit, I have to admit, because I feel, you can be so expanded, but if you can't ground the energy and bring it in, bring it through your bodies, bring it through your physical vessel and anchor it in here, then you're really not being truly of purpose, the purpose of being in the light, bringing the light into the garment. So anyway, having said that, this week when we have an elder, we have the teenage kids, and July has been so busy with so many frequencies. And we've been on the go. We were prepared for this month of July several months before it's going to be on. We go to Toronto, we have the LICO transmissions and Arcturian microhealing, we have the event, all of this going on. Then we have the planetary work at the falls. Then we get back. Then we have the big ceremony of Mary Magdalene feast here. That was so expansive. I still have emails from people what they experienced, what Michael experienced, being in the presence of that sacred divine feminine energy, the priestess energy, and to really be touched by that. Then we turn around and we leave with our family. And again, it's like all about grounding energy, because I feel it was such an expanded energy, and this energy had to ground. And that's why we position in such high level of vortex, yet pure nature, just so we can ground the energy before we're here for a couple of days. Then off we go to be with the Lions StarGate. And the key is to constantly ground it. And the most incredible grounding is Gaia's, Sophia's codes, to really be in the new earth energy, to ground the energy into north energy. And that's so important, because I can speak in light language, I can speak in all this transition. So freaking what if it's not anchored? And if you're living from the old energy, if you're living from old conditioning, programming, we're not allowing ourselves to be in the total alignment. And I feel one of the greatest tests is when we put together as a family, different generation, and we get to be in the mix together in one home, and like all the different things, and to watch the way the frequency is flowing, and how are we in real true reality dealing with these fluctuating frequencies and anchoring them. And I feel we did incredible. I really feel we did incredible. My kids were so grateful. They kept, expressing so much of their love and gratitude. We had so many in-depth sharing, and I feel like the sacredness of being able to celebrate Michael's father, Michael's father was with us constantly. Michael's mom was carrying his ashes everywhere. So the kids got a chance to see like how beautiful that is for a loved one that's crossed over, is continuously celebrated. They get to hear that with my grandmother all the time. But to see it this way, where we can take a hike, and God bless Michael's mom, 73 woman.
70 years old.
Going on this hike, and the trail and the rocks all the way up, just to be able to, for the five of us to come together in this most magical way. And I'll have you share what you want to share. Again, the point is, how are we grounding it? How are we able to really do this within our family dynamics? Because I understand sometimes it's very difficult to be with our biological family, because sometimes the consciousness is so off, and I fully grasp that, and also how important it is to do the best, to just do the best we can to extend that and bring it together so they can lift up to where we are. Yeah.
And to follow that with that magical time that I feel very grateful we got to do as a family. It's amazing what the day, the universe, and events may unfold in a plan that may be beyond what we think. For that day, it was the one day of the week that I really wanted to create a special
Sunday, this Sunday.
yeah, that Sunday, a special ceremony for my father. And how magical it was to wake up at Horseshoe Farm Ranch and look into the horizon and see the largest mountain and be able to point like that's where we're going. And interesting enough, as we all left nice and early, I went ahead as we're driving and placed what I thought would be the direction to the mountain. Yet, funny enough, it was Pisgah
National Forest.
National Forest. And how interesting that life led us into a whole different direction, actually an hour and a half in the opposite direction where there were no signs. We were driving, we were watching the back, ground of the outback of North Carolina, showing the boys that this is what locals look like, and just following our heart and spirit, driving, eventually hitting a dirt road. We're driving up, still no signs. Then we get to a point, then we see a private road. We're driving all the way to the top until we see a gate blocking the road. And it was at a point where my heart dropped and I thought, wow, here we are with no service. Here we are in the middle of nowhere. And here we are with like one trail. Like, well, this is it. And at that point...
And it was the Big Butt Trail.
It was the Big Butt Trail, which obviously probably strengthens your muscles in your legs because we had no clue. Yet it was funny because at that point, I felt silence in myself, getting a little upset because of just my own lesson, not putting too much pressure or not getting too angry at myself for placing what I accidentally did. I placed the first direction on the waves versus the second, leading in a whole different way. So everyone in the car became a little more silent. We backtracked down, and then we started to see how that misdirection was actually perfect for what the day was giving us, because we had to backtrack through Asheville to eat, to ground, because if we didn't have food, we would have never been able to hike up this mountain. So we went back to Asheville, we ate, and then we went
and
3.5
nobody
hours.
complained.
And no one complained.
This is the big one.
We went 3.5 hours later to the destination that we thought on a Sunday. And as we're going on one of the most beautiful parkways, if you're ever in North Carolina, Blue Ridge Parkway is one of the most beautiful parkways of the whole eastern coast in the mountains. We start driving. And as they were all driving by, I was making a joke. I'm like, see, these are all the people that are coming from where we were supposed to be. So we parked there, and now it's like 4 o'clock. We wanted to get there fairly early and just go through the hike and come back. We get there before we look up and we start hiking, and all these people started to come down. And all of a sudden, this feeling of just excitement and joy, because in one way, the mind, the expectation of, well, we had to be here, we wanted to go here, and the universe gave the perfect gift. It gave the most incredible present to allow us not only to arrive 3.5 hours later, but as we hiked up, God bless my mother, God bless 73 years old, of literally the first half mile.
The boys went first. They just first.
You can imagine a hike up the mountain, which for Pisgah Mountain, it's a very, very powerful mountain. You can feel the energy. You can feel this cooling, crisp nature when you're walking. And it's a beautiful path, the first half mile. It's about a 2-mile hike. But the last 7/10 of the mile, it's rock after rock, and it's an incline. And so as they went up, my mom was funny because she's like, okay, where's the next spot? Let's point. So she'd walk higher. I'm like, are you all right?
No, so wait, 1 second. So my boys went, and they're waiting for us, they went. They were waiting for us, they went. So then they just take off and went. So I went front. I was just singing in light language, making myself good. So at some point, as the rocks started getting, I was like, Michael, come here, be behind your mama. This is like no joke now. So then I went, and then Michael and his mom was coming. But before Michael and his mom arrived, about 20 minutes later, when we got there, when my sons got there, when I got there were 5 couples there already, and my son. So by the time I arrived, 3 of them left. There were still 3 more couples there. So by the time we waited for Michael and his mom to come, everybody left except this one couple.
And as we were hiking, my mom kept stopping, like, Mom, are you all right? Meanwhile, the day before, we went to Looking Glass Falls, and she had to accidentally slip because she was on flip-flops versus like her Tevas or mountain shoes. So she had some skin knees, she had a bruise in her leg, and I just really sat with her, every step helping her up, because the steps were big rocks,
big rocks,
moving higher and higher, advancing the ascension. So as she's moving, I'm like, well, what's happening? She's like, my heart rate is just pounding. I'm like, we don't have to do anything. We could just go step by step. And in a way, I didn't tell her or anyone else about the hike because it said moderately difficult. And it was interesting to notice that as I was going, I was like, well, there it is, but we'll see what happens. As she was going, her heart rate get higher, 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 and she stopped and she could check in. She's like, no, Dad's saying that I can do it. No worries. And as we went up, we started to just feel the energy. We started to see the butterflies.
Let me just, so this is like one of the trail, like here's Michael and his mom, and they're coming. And you can see these are like, look how ginormous these boulders are.
We weren't climbing those big boulders.
No, we weren't driving out.
The steps, it was a nice trail. Point being, once we got to the very top, all of a sudden there was this little bird. And this bird was like hopping on this food. I'm like, look, Mom, this bird is navigating us that we're almost there. So we'd walk a little closer, the bird would hop. We walked a little closer, the bird would hop. So she's panting. I'm like, Mom, take her time. We'll just go rock by rock. We'd probably stop every maybe 10, 15 minutes so she can catch her breath. And God bless her heart, 73 years old. So we finally get up there, and there's this beautiful, beautiful deck that has this top there that it was just all of us except one other couple overlooking all the Blue Ridge
and
mountains.
The very first thing that happened
was there was a butterfly in the center
that came between Michael and his mom.
So we sat there and we're like, wow, there's this butterfly just sat right there, and it stayed right there, and me and my mom just stopped. We just looked at the butterfly. We must have sat at the butterfly and looked at it, and for all of those that
and you knew it was your dad because the butterfly came sit on Michael's mom's chest, and me and the kids just watched.
And one thing I really want to communicate for all those that have loved ones in spirit side, those that want to communicate, I highly recommend that give the opportunity to speak. Good morning, Angela. Give the opportunity to really open your heart up, because since my dad's transition, it's been amazing. The more I communicate with him, the more I'm aware of myself opening up, because he is in my heart, he's in my thoughts, he's in the energy. How amazing nature responds back to you. If it's a dragonfly, if it's a butterfly, if it's a bird, all these things start to happen, and all you have to do is open your heart like a little boy or girl and just use your imagination and start speaking. And if you just sit back and watch, you'll start to notice all the little things that move around, because when we got there, if it wasn't a butterfly, then there was another bird coming around. I mean, we had such a powerful moment. I could be more blessed for Honey, because when we got there, my mom and Honey at the same time said, okay, let's go below the deck or the wooden piece so we can bury the ashes.
Well, there was this one little, very small wood at the summit. We were at the summit. And it's interesting. Let me just show you. Also very disturbing. So here's the summit top. There's this ginormous tower. Very uncomfortable. My sons are sitting at this, and then this. I'll show you. So this is right across it. So this is the summit, and so it's like where to do this ceremony ashes. So Michael's mom felt it should be right under this wooden deck. So we had brought crystals, got the crystals out, and I'll show you. They went under the deck. We all squat with my sons, and so we each got a quartz crystal, and then to put the ashes there, to put water, and by this time everybody had left, except and we did one. Those are the ashes, and we had this one couple take a picture. But I'll show you this for a second. To this ray of light that came out, I'll tell you that in a second. But what was so beautiful about that was, it was so beautiful, this combination of coming together for Michael and his mom spread the ashes clockwise and counterclockwise in each of the 7 directions, which was so incredible. Michael's father was so into this, and then each of us had a quartz crystal to go bury right underneath and to do a blessing prayer around it. And I had told, this is before I had met Michael, I had told my sons, I said, I said, the day I die, I want you to take my ashes, and here's a certain amount of money will be left for you to go spread them in these very sacred places. So it was so incredible that here was this opportunity that they were witnessing. And as we were ahead of Michael and his mom going up, my sons are like, Mommy, this is the type of thing you want us to do with your ashes? I said, of course, but you got to go find the ships too. You got to go into the mountains and all of this. So it was so beautiful. And we went down on the deck below. Michael and his mom put the ashes there and the crystals. Each of us give the blessings. Then we came up. Michael did the invocation prayer, and it was such a beautiful moment. And suddenly my older son's like, wait a minute, something's going on here. I can see this triangular energy, and we saw this ray of light coming down. And both of them, they said this was so special, this was so sacred. And for teenagers to really feel that, it was so special.
It was eye-opening to see that what they recognize is the relationship with me and my mom, and just the dedication, devotion we give back to spirit, we give back to loved ones. For us to honor their ascension in their ceremony, a lot of times, which is all right, and there's nothing wrong to get caught up in the sadness, the sorrow, the worries of the attached ones, or the ones that were attached to when they transition. Yet it was a great way to show our children that this is a celebration. This is something that we are very happy. He's in a better place now. We're excited. Of course, tears of joy came down, tears from the heart. We're hugging each other. But for them to witness that these ashes being spread this is something that, as Honey does, I want my ashes to be spread throughout all the sacred areas. I would love for people to honor my soul and to go to different areas all throughout the world, if it's the pyramids or huge waves or whatever it is, to sprinkle those ashes and just to give the honor.
But celebrate the life, because I feel that's where it was. Every conversation that Susan had was about Alan. So my sons got to learn about Michael's father so much, about Alan and all these stories, and all of us in the car. And for 7 days in a row, we were together 1 week, and they learned so much. And I feel there's also the opportunity of the beauty, to celebrate the beauty, not the sorrows that has been borrowed forever, to really tap into the joy and the celebration. And then the coming down was a whole journey. I have to talk about it for a second.
Before coming down, just finally with the areas, there was such a feeling in my heart that when we were doing this, we weren't the only ones there. Yeah. I felt throughout my morning prayers in North Carolina, there was a lot of ancestral energy. And I kept getting from my guides that how important it is to honor the ancestors, how important it is to honor wherever you go on these sacred lands, to really give the blessings. Even in my first shamanic experiences, I always remember a master speaking to me, like, before entering sacred grounds, give the opportunity to ask permission, like really to give. May I come now and walk on these beautiful lands and share the presence with you in honor and grace, so that this is not only respect to them, but you're looking at Mother Nature, Gaia, in these places that for thousands of years, from Atlantis to Lemuria, the major ceremonies and traditions have been placed. So now in our modern worlds where we get to go up there, I couldn't tell you, when we were doing this, I felt like one part was for my father, but another part was really honoring the Atlanteans, the Lemurians, honoring all the Blue Ridge Mountains, and just sitting there being like, wow, how phenomenal is it to go to a sacred area, bless a crystal, place it in, have all the elements, from our fire, from our Palo Santo, from the water, to the air, to the earth, then place our hearts into it, then go up and just feel like here we are connecting with Gaia, with heaven, with Mother Earth, and now we are sharing this as a celebration in our family. To me, it was like one of the biggest, most incredible charges, that the whole day I was like on cloud 9, walking up, walking down. And it was amazing, because I thought, we usually say the walk down is much shorter than the walk up, but because of these steps of rocks you have to make each step, of course the teenagers decided to do what every teenager does and run down as quick as possible. And Honey was right behind them, and then I was taking my mom literally step for step. But I know Honey had a very interesting experience when she was
So which I
coming.
wanted to share with this with you. So my boys are like, okay, mommy, we see you down. They were like, done. So they went down very quickly, and it will probably take a good if you're running half an hour down. So I was like, okay, I'll see you guys. And by this time it's about 5:30. I'm coming down, and for most of you that I've done so much planetary work for a number of years, many different odd places, and alone for 5 years before Michael came around. So I'm used to remote places, secluded places, alone places, and I don't get scared. But interesting enough, it was so interesting as I started coming down, at some point, I don't know what happened. But this is what happened. Suddenly, for those of you that don't know, within this Pisgah Mountain, underneath all of that, the Syrian High Council, when we did the channeling and masters last year in New York, had mentioned there are the Syrian ships still in the mountain. There are many Atlantean beings still in the mountain. And there are also, of course, a lot of military secret governments within these mountains. So anyway, as coming down, for some freaking reason, out of nowhere, I had this fear thought that presented, and it was like suddenly I was like, oh, what if I get abducted by an alien here? I am, most of you that know, this is like the most joyful thing if a projected being comes and picks me up. Like, I love this, but for some reason fear came there, and I was like, wait a minute, and I watched that. Then suddenly I was like, oh my god, what if a bear shows up? It's a bear country, black bear country. I was like, I have nothing. And I started having, just before all these thoughts came, I was like, wait a minute. And I was hearing things. So I turned around and I was like, Michael, nothing. Then I turned the other way. I was like, Keon, Nevon, nothing. I was like, oh, shucks. And it was starting to get a bit darker. And rocks after rocks. I was like, oh my goodness. So as I started going a little bit more, I started feeling more and more uncomfortable. And I was like, this is not me. This is not me at all. Like, I don't get scared. Something is happening. So I stood, and I want to share this picture too. I stood right in that moment, and I said, let me pull it up because this is significant. I stood right in that moment in one place. I was like, okay, Archangel Michael, the dragons, Archangel Michael, dragons, come help me now. And I just asked, I was like, please clear the path. I don't know what this is. This doesn't belong to me. Clear my energy. And Archangel Gabriel's white diamond dragons. I was like, clear my energy. I don't know what's happening. Something's happening here. So I asked for that, and I was like, I am completely protected. I'm completely loved. And suddenly I just said, okay, my kids are down. I will make it down to see my kids. That was it. And I wanted to put a stop any other thought field that was trying to tap in to scare me. And within that moment, I looked down and look, here's my feet. And this rock was right there. Here it is. So, and I knew, I said, okay, now I'm going to be okay. And I started kind of started running down too, I have to admit. And, but it was so interesting. I came down and I saw my kids. I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. And my younger son said, Mommy, I felt like we should have come back and got you. And my older son said, Mommy, it was so weird. I had a thought aliens would abduct me there. I got so uncomfortable. I said, isn't that so interesting? I don't know what energy field that was there, because it's a very powerful quartz crystal field. The second your thought goes to anywhere and their presence that would want to manipulate the thought, it would spiral down. We're inside a gigantic vortex. It will spiral down very quickly. And if you don't know what to do, you can get very affected because it's a narrow path. You can easily get thrown down, whatever. And that reminded me why people go missing or they might fall down and what have you. So if you're ever alone, call upon every help from where you are, and the help is available to you. As long as you don't, because sometimes within these manipulative fields, this is a powerful vortex, but you get this tower there that is not being used for the highest purpose. So there's that manipulation energy, and very quickly, even as a very powerful light being, it can tap in, and that's what I experienced. But as I got down, of course, we had the giant watermelon. We cut it up, started shoving our face with the watermelon, and waited for another half an hour until Michael and his mom came down.
With my mom, I was literally leading her each step of the way, one step, and how precious it was to just feel like in the honor that I just celebrated my father with my mother. Now it was making sure that she could get down, and it was cute because when you're ever there for a loved one, you're just watching every step. You're going very slow and just admiring that for those that are in North Carolina and really want to take a magical hike. Pisgah Mountain is gorgeous. The energy, the rocks, the nature, the green, just the view of the Blue Ridge Mountains is absolutely spectacular. And what I've always learned is, I know if you ever go into these beautiful places throughout nature, sometimes as the universe perfectly guided us, maybe to choose the times where people may not normally be there. If it's a weekend, maybe go a little later. If it's a weekday, go a little earlier. How spectacular it was that once we got up there and that couple left, no other being came until we left, and then several other people came up the mountain. So it was definitely guided for us to do the ceremony, because to start back at the beginning of this story, if I would have placed the right directions in and got there at 1 o'clock, we probably would have had a horrific time because we had no food. And we've learned with teenagers and myself, when there's no food, we become monsters.
Yeah.
And to have that extra long guidance to go to a place, to learn to go with the flow, to trust, to surrender, to allow, and then go up this spectacular, beautiful place with our family, allow the boys to do what they want to do. See how Honey is, going into her journey. And I felt each of us had an experience not only to feel the celebration, but also to feel what our tests and lessons are, because I feel that each day there is a challenge, there is a conflict, there is something that is going to come up for us to evolve and to expand through it. And I find that's one of the most beautiful things about Ascension, because no matter where we are, life will present things. And it was beautiful how Honey really spoke about what it was like to be in nature by herself. What would you do if you're by yourself? She was joking. I was like, we should get some mace. And now, I think about it, sure, an animal, maybe that would be a great thing. Should we bring a knife or something? Well, we're not really hunters, and we're not at that level, but it does present something that if you're in the wild by yourself, what are your options? And I find what's so powerful is our options are with us. We have our angels, we have our dragons, we have our team around us. Don't be afraid to call them up, to remember that they are there. And what will they do? They will remind us what's before us, right in our surroundings, and how beautiful it was to have a heart-shaped rock saying the love is with you. So coming down, how funny, Honey had the watermelon. We were like little kids butting into the watermelon, came all the way down, did something that we haven't done in a very long time, and got, of course, what's nourishing for people that don't want to cook, good old-fashioned Chinese. We got some Chinese food, we ate, and then we just saw the most spectacular sunset, and it just gave a fitting nature to our last day at Horseshoe Farm before going to Chimney Rock. And
we really recommend, for those of you that might be ever interested in the most spectacular, glorious, luxury, high-end farm, it would be the Horseshoe Farm. We're very blessed. Jordan and Rachel are the owners and the Turchin family. And last year when, they moved there, we were very blessed in last May to go and bless the land, support Jordan, do a lot of ceremony for the land, clear the energy of the land. Then we took a team of the Michael did healings, did healing on the land. There's a beautiful spaceship above, and a Syrian ship to be exact. And then also we took a team of the healers there so they can have the retreat, and they can put a retreat together. It is so high end. It's filled with art. It's gorgeous. And they have, of course, the goats that some of you have seen. Really, really recommend it. And we're so grateful to the Tertian family to have provided this for us to just be together and just that quality time that whenever Jordan, Rachel, Michael, and I get a chance to spend together, and they get to know Michael's mom. And I feel this trip, what was so interesting, being two mothers and sons. It was like mothers and sons on a trip. And I felt there was this interesting energy between Michael and I, because it was like Michael and I didn't really have any time for each other. It just didn't happen. I was on mother duty call, and mother, between my sons and preparing the food. And I usually prepare the food, what to get, that, all of that. And Michael's mom is amazing. And okay, what can I do? All of that.
And the first 4 days I was on healing mode.
Yeah.
So the first 4 days I was waking up, doing healing sessions. So it was only a 7-day vacation. So my mind was very focused on what I had to get done with the Archangel Michael healings, with not only the beautiful clients there, but also working with Jordan and Rachel, as I always do. So it was a very, I felt like it was a point where we were on, and not only on, but we were very, very busy throughout.
It was very busy, and the dynamic of being 1 week together, the dynamic of the multi-generation, the dynamic of, okay, we're within this window of this last week of July, and we're getting ready for the Lions StarGate. Lions StarGate is a big stargate. It is celebrated all throughout Earth in many different places in these gatherings and what have you. And here we are anchoring all of the energy that has taken place from June and July here, back at the farm, back in the crystal fields, and then be able to take it back to, then for us next week, we'll be going to a very specific place that ties into Glastonbury, ties into Shasta, ties into the work we did in Toronto, ties into the work that's been done through Mexico, ties into the work in Miami. So it just, we got to do that before we take this energy back to 9/9, which would be in upstate New York, and then 10/10, we're in North Africa. So there's just a lot happening there's just a lot happening in the middle of, as much as I've retired from the planetary work, but there's certain things that are still is working within the alignments and within the Stargate, within the crystalline rose line, this golden rose frequency, and the realness of it to be applied again in real action in situations, and especially in a dynamic with the family, and watching it play out is truly incredible to just watch it, and for my sons to be part of it, for Michael's mom to be part of it, to see their dynamic, they're developing a relationship, and rewatching it, and it's multi-level, multi, and I felt the appreciation was so much for my sons and your mother, and again, the idea of blended family. What's it like when we're in a blended family? What's it like for Michael to have suddenly 2 teenager sons around him, and
teenagers,
16 and then and we had we asked what do you give him, and Michael's, I gave him A++. They were amazing. And
plus, what do you mean? I said, do you realize
you gave triple plus?
I gave triple plus, and I wasn't doing the schmooze or to be too brown nosing. I literally was plus, because when you take 2 teenagers, place them together with 2 moms and me, and we, the 3 of us, are not the normal people. Honey and I are waking up and doing our prayers. My mom's going to meditations. Every day we're probably speaking something spiritual. So they're
galactic and all
so
of that.
Everything we're speaking about is probably conversations we can speak to you, each of you, all day long. We just be like, wow, we can just share this. We can connect. But with their sons, it's kind of like, oh, mom, do we have to do this now? Do we have to chant? Here we were, Honey and I were, going up the mountain singing, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. And Honey and I are just this is who we are. We chant it, we be it, we serve it, and to be in front of teenagers, to observe and just be in their own mode, it was phenomenal to see how they didn't overreact. They were incredible, and usually
they weren't resistant either.
And usually when families come together, there is a lot of things that come up. Now, of course, nothing's ever perfect, and there's always going to be times toward the end of the week when we get exhausted, or there's emotional levels that we see in people that we definitely work our own through and learn even deeper of how to handle the situations. But point being is, teenagers now and what we've seen and the graphics from drugs and sex and abuse and all the things that they do, here they were each day hiking mountains, going to light centers, going to places where Honey and I get tickled to, because when we're in nature, we follow our hearts. Oh, let's pull over here. Let's check this out. And
in the
relatively
river and
amazing.
crystals and this and that. And everyone's like, I just love touching crystals. Like he's always been, but just the beauty shared was tremendous. I feel very blessed that we got to experience this, and for them to feel. They were just so grateful for the food that was prepared for them every day, and and they would take part in making their beds, and just the amount of conversation that was shared. And my oldest son, yesterday we got the news his scholarship was granted. So it was just like, and this is his birthday month. So this truly celebration, and the amount of conversation they were able to have with Michael's mom. She's very easygoing, which was just preciousness.
And I thought one thing that was really powerful is, this was really one part of our family vacation, but another part dedicated toward my father. And I always remember growing up, my dad always says, family is to be appreciated. Family is to be valued. Family is to love. And we each chose our family. We chose our mother, our father, our brothers and sisters. And no matter what type of relationship we have, good, bad, ugly, pretty, there is a respect, because we came in this specific world to learn, to grow, and to expand. And no matter how much on the other side, when our family triggers us, or if we're caretaking our family, or if we're in a position that our family drives us nuts and we need space, at the end of the day, gratitude is so important to go back, because somewhere along we're going to look back at our life and we're going to thank our mothers and fathers to give us exactly what we need, because we're standing in front of our ancestors and transforming all the things that upset us, and to go through the conditioning that we're breaking away, and to release that of what our family has given us. So it's very interesting to look at the paradigm of the family and really value and honor it from a perspective that, yes, we have our soul family, yes, we have our soul friends, we also have the people that came in that gave birth to us. And no matter what they've done in every way to upset us or give us love, there is a respect, there is a value, and there's a celebration. So I couldn't be more grateful to go through this week and have that level of just deep appreciation that my father just spoke how important it is to bring that love of the family in, and to really honor it in ways that we can help share that with others. Because when we're connected as a family, we really, really connect to the higher levels of our love with him, because this is where we're incarnated in. And these are the beings that we have our contracts with. And somewhere within this life and past lives, we were meant to go through them in this portal. So it's been very powerful.
And it was so beautiful also, as my sons and I, there was so much that early on they learned about. And when me and their father went through the separation and then the divorce, there was all kinds of things that took place between it. And to be able to, and we would always take, trips with my sons. I usually take him something with nature, give him a lot of experiences, and they get to experience what they don't usually experience with their father. And this time there was obviously like a lot more resistance, but they're so around these energy constantly, so nothing like really fazed them. And what was really precious was that the amount that them two together got to have, my sons, because my younger son has really missed my older son, and there was this recognition like, wow, we want to create this time to spend this time together. My younger son now has become like a professional gamer. For those of you, if you have children, Fortnite, my son is getting pretty big on that. So we were totally supporting him, and that's what he wants. But to have them even spend one night on the same bed, so it was this preciousness, this brotherly love that they haven't had for a long time, because their life has been so busy, with my older one with college and his girlfriend and his friends, and the younger one with his professional gaming and this and that. finally there was this one window that they got to actually wrestle in the water, and we call it the poopy duck lake water, and there were a lot of ducks and geese in the lake water, and they got to sleep on the same bed together. They got to play like of Connect Four, and one night dedicated 5 hours, no kidding, Monopoly. We started from 7 o'clock all the way to 12:30. Monopoly, the five of us, we laughed so much, and these are just precious. And point being, we got to experience this with beautiful weather, a lot of alignment, and it meant so much for me to be able to provide this opportunity for all of us to come from a place of will, to want to share this, and then take this energy, as Michael and I will rest this weekend. We desperately both need rest. We need a vacation after the vacation, as you say, and to have our own time before we leave on Wednesday to go to the location. We need to serve the 8/8 StarGate and everything that is here for the month of August. And what I appreciate is the real experience of everyday life as we're expanding with our team. How do we constantly apply it here in this now? That to me is the art of the mastery. That is the art of true beingness. And I feel with Michael, the one thing that we have discussed, and I'm very firm about it, like, Michael, you are on your personal ascension. I am on my personal ascension. My children are in their personal ascension. Your mother is, and then we're in a planetary ascension. So I have my own responsibility to me, just like you have your own responsibility to you. And that frequency of sacrifice, compromise, of the old energy of marriage absolutely doesn't resonate with me at all. That is the energy of the past, of the old ways. To me, is of honor and celebration. What is total truth to you, and you do whatever it is, whatever it takes, that is right in your heart to do what you need to do. That is the energy I celebrate, and I feel that was the energy in this week. We cared for each other quite a bit, but we also did what we needed to do, which is also the key. And going into it a little bit further too. So quite a bit sharing around here. I don't know what everybody has said, Michael, by the way. Do you want to stroll through real quick?
Sure, we'll go through.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for
watching.
And chiming in. Thank you, Valerie, for smelling our beautiful sandalwood.
Oh yeah, that's a sandalwood from Self-Realization Center.
Thank you, Ian, for coming in and enjoying. We feel honored, Demetrius, and all your wonderful insights and the times and just the energies that you do in sharing along. Sunshine Love, we absolutely love you. We know that you're always watching, and just appreciate your joy, your happiness, and your celebration. Yes, Valerie, I agree with you. I'm also very grounded. I think something we learned from other lifetimes. Exactly. Yeah. And just one piece about that grounded nature that I wanted to also bring in is the grounding nature also comes in within our balance of life and how we choose to live each day. And sometimes, it's that art when we go through so many things that this society doesn't really teach us how to become balanced. And I really say that from a perspective that, as the timelines move and as the energies move faster and faster, how important it is to stay grounded and really to look within for your own guidance, because outwardly there is very little guidance that our society is showing because of this ethic that we have to keep going, we have to keep working, we have to prepare for the future. I fear the unknown, with the go, that things are constantly moving faster, that we have to step back from it all and find our own balance through our own dietary guidelines. Really be important with what we place in our body, to find the exercise, to find the peace, to find the alone time that we can really connect within our own meditations and what we do outwardly, because really it is up to ourselves. I'm happy that Honey said that each of us have our own ascension process, and wherever we are, we have to look in, take that time for ourselves, really to honor ourselves, to value ourselves, to appreciate ourselves. And sometimes if things are moving too quickly, or we have so much on our plate, or things are in a constant, we have to step back and say, how can we create more balance? Because in that balance is that alignment. Within the alignment, that keeps us grounded. And right now, because there's so much happening, and really because there's a lot of distraction out there, it pulls us in different directions. So how important it is to go within ourselves and find the rest that we need. Find that time to really connect within ourselves, because everything within is our universe that's expanding around us. And I find that is one of the most key points of creating that foundation in our ascension for grounding. So thank you for bringing grounding up. So in North Carolina, vortexes are very powerful. For those of us in Asheville, we learned that just from Asheville, there's a lot of vortexes just 45 minutes away. Whatever direction you want to go, we highly recommend Hendersonville, the Church and Family. And if you're ever doing a retreat or doing any type of planning for events, please contact Jordan Turchin and Rachel. They are beloveds, and
I say you referred by us.
Referred by us, because it is a place that is going to be hosting quite a bit, and they are definitely moving in that direction. So blessed that your sons were able to see and feel the sacred ceremony. Completely agree with you. Cannot agree more. So that's very beautiful. Congratulations, birthday to all souls.
Yeah.
Fiorella, thank you for joining in for
Fiorella.
us. So thank you guys. We are, as you can see, a little tired, a little winded.
And we have to go return the car
now after a day of just getting in very, very late. I slept in a little more than carried a very heavy crystal after the help of Kian helping others. But let me go ahead and read the angel message for today. And so if you guys would just like to close your eyes and just put your hands right over your heart. And just take 3 deep breaths in. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And the message for today is, lean upon us. We angels are a stable foundation in your life, and you can always count on us to be there for you. When other circumstances seem unpredictable or to fluctuate, you can always be sure of our unshakable presence and support. We're dependable because we never forget that God's caring is all there is. We don't waver in our love, and our energy never falters. We're always assured that this emotion is present everywhere, so we're eternally peaceful. Lean upon us when you need stability. Know that we're trustworthy friends who stick by you through everything. We love you no matter what. You can count on us. Here's the thought for today. Please repeat after me. I feel happy in the knowledge.
I feel happy in the knowledge
that I can always count on God.
That I can always count on God.
And my angels.
And my angels.
For they are everywhere that I am.
For they are everywhere that I am.
My steady foundation through thick and thin.
My steady foundation through thick and thin.
No matter what, they're always with me.
No matter what, they're always with me. I hope. Wasn't that so perfect for what we shared today?
Very perfect.
And let's see what the message of the Ascension energies is. Let's see where we are on the 2nd day of August. Veils of Illusion, number 25. When we incarnate, we go through the veil of amnesia and the 7 veils of illusion, who we truly are. When you dissolve those veils, you become fully enlightened. To do this, you are called to take on to take mastery. Believe in the spiritual world, practice unconditional love, honor animals and the nature kingdom, walk with the masters and angels, see that all is connected, and finally, live in as an enlightening being. You are invited to ask the unicorns to work with you to remove your veils of illusion so that you can become an enlightened master. Affirmation: I am one with everything.
I am one with everything.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Ah, so beautiful. So just a couple of announcements this month. This month of August, we're pretty much in Washington, D.C. We're staying put, which is wonderful. Except next week, Wednesday morning, we drive, we go, and we'll share what will be for 8/8. Then we drive back on Friday, and then we're here. I'm completely booked with all the light code transmission activation sessions, month of August, month of September. Then we're in travel end of September through the entire month of October. And I've already begun booking November. So if you are feeling called, please be sure to message me so I can schedule you in. Also, any other, I'm just very focused on light code transmissions and the light code events. Anybody that needs other healing assistant talking through this, please contact Michael. I have so many people that need to talk through what's happening. I'm just not the right person in that because I'm focused on just doing the transmissions of the light codes with the activation of the crystalline light body, the diamond codes for people who are ready. For those of you who, just 1 second, then I'll share it with you. For those of you who can come in the beginning month of September, will be in Long Island, and September 7th I have the light code transmission activation event there. It's about usually 3 to 4 hours, but you don't want to wait there. Don't worry, that's the group experience, and there's a lot of education. I have full recording of the last 4 group experiences, so you can absolutely email me. Go prepared as if you're attending, because it is a full transmission activation. I'll send you everything, and you send your love donation, and boom, off you go. We have the Sacred Sunday Spiritual Circle coming up on August 25th. That's a free event in person, and also for live stream, all of you can tune in.
And on August 17th,
with our guest, Hillary Lowenstein.
And then on August 17th, I'll be at Crystal Cognizance doing the full day of Archangel Michael healing. August 24th, they're both Saturdays, I'll be at Rise Wellbeing. I will also be expanding a very powerful healing for this month, which I'll be working with in a long distance, which is really not a long distance healing, but it's an expansion of the Archangel Michael that I'll be working with in a different realm, amongst other healings that Honey spoke about that I can be found on live on video, whether it's Sacred Heart Divine Listening, whether it's Ascension Guide, whether it's Shamanic Journey. I'll be printing all that out this week and really be expressing all the things that I can do as Honey is working on her elements in the light code transmissions. I will also be serving as a guide, as a teacher, as a being of light, a way shower that can really help those that need to really speak and express what's moving through, so that I can be of highest healing service. And I'll be presenting all that this week so that you can be led to share that, as well as some very powerful guided journeys that my guides have been showing me, whether liquid gold transformations through guided journeys, or just different areas that I'm going to be expanding more so that I can be of service internationally, live, online, for all those that feel the call.
Yeah, so that way our work is being, our service is being split up like this way better, because I have so many requests for private healings, and I just can't, because this is where I'm focused, and Michael will be a better one. And Michael will be live with Todd Medina this month on August 12th, Tuesday. At what time, sweetie?
At
6 p.m. or 4 p.m.?
I think it's 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Eastern.
5 p.m. or 6 p.m. I'll be making
Eastern.
an announcement this week as well. I have to look at that.
And I will be on Saturday the 24th at 3 p.m. I'll be live with Gia on MultiDimensional Living, so I'll share a little bit about that. And the only final announcement we want to share, we will be in South Carolina for the 11/11 StarGate. We were called to be there to bring the crystalline rose frequency of what was activated in the summer solstice, then the ceremony that was done with the Magdalene feast, with the that whole ceremonial, then what we're going to take into Europe and North Africa, and then bring it back, you have to anchor it specifically there. So anybody that feels called, is going to be hosted by our dear sister Tanya Colucci. So we're just putting this out so you know what's coming up. So that way, if you feel called, please take part, and we'll do the best we can to make this available for as many people as possible, because we're a service for the planetary ascension while we're doing each of our parts.
So thank you all for joining us. Thank you very much for taking your beautiful Friday, whether it's in a beautiful evening in London. Thank you, Demetrius, all the way to the West Coast, around the world. We're very grateful that you're sharing this for those that resonate with all that we're speaking, and just grateful that you've taken this very special
So thankful to you.
20 minutes to honor what has been moving through in all of our journeys, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks.
Yes, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'm going to post the picture of the crystal, this other one of these other ones that is going to be on sale. So, yeah.
Okay.
So much love. Aho namaste and like ish banur ish. House. Happy Lions StarGate coming up. It's going to be magical.